faz? So my husband is leaving the United States of America. So today was Gus's final master hearing, and everybody, including DHS, our judge, our lawyers, and even us, we all agreed to Gus's voluntary departure. So this voluntary departure is really the safest way for us to have a future here. So the way it works is the way in which Gus came here through the Biden administration. Under that administration, he was protected in certain ways that he's no longer protected, and he had certain paths he could take that, he could no longer take. So the one thing Gus signed up for in the beginning was if he entered into asylum within the first year of him arriving in the United States, he would have a 3-year bar when the day would come that he should leave this country. Now, this was before Gus met me. This was about a year before we met each other. So his mind was thinking about different things. A lot of different things were at play at that time. He never expected to meet me, so the consequences were weighed differently back then. But now we wanted to keep that 3 years because that's our secure way of coming back and doing everything within the proper laws, because the way Gus entered, he cannot adjust status. Even marriage can't adjust his status here. It would have to be back in Brazil. So we were always prepared for the day he would have to go back to Brazil because he has to adjust status there. And that adjustment of status would be for switching from asylum to marriage-based. So today at 9 a.m. we had our hearing, and 120 days were given. So we were expecting 90, so even to have 4 months together, it's a piece that me and him have came about on ourselves. Like I said, it's for a secure future here, and honestly, it's time that, it's just something that needs to happen. You can't put a time on things, and that's just what all of this is. It was a lot of bad timing with the way things are in this country right now, and how difficult it is for immigrants, how difficult it is for Americans to, marry an immigrant. It's not an easy thing. And, I guess the one thing that we can hope comes from even these videos is one person gaining peace from our experience. So yeah, we're going to be processing this the next 4 months. We have our plan in place, and we'll be speaking about that as time goes on. A rough draft is eventually I will be leaving the United States too, to be with Gus in his, city, Rondônia, Brazil. And I'm fine with this, It's going to be an experience for me that I really have never had the opportunity to take. I'll get to meet his country, his city, where he's from, what made him. And, I'll get to meet his family. So there's a lot of things to consider here, but moving to Brazil is the least of my worries. The only thing I'm going to be doing this next year, once Gus leaves in June of 2026, it's going to be tough. I'm going to be alone. Not totally, but it's going to be rough, saving all this money. I have an amount in my head that I'm going to reach before I leave, and it's going to take me a minimum of a year, if not a little bit longer. So we have a goal of me moving to Brazil after Gus of 12 to 14 months, and then I will finish out the 2 to 3 years left of, our remaining time in Brazil. Me and Gus are both happy with this. Like I said, it's really the only option for things to happen that we want to happen, and that's to have a future here. You know, I'm not going to speak much about how Brazil is, but it's a lot different than the United States of America. You have your big cities in Brazil. Brazil's huge. It's incomprehensible how big it is. But the place Gus is from is a lot different. It's a lot more secluded. It's a lot more quiet. A lot more slow paced. So it's definitely going to be a culture shock for me. But my few visits to Brazil already before meeting Gus, I'm prepared culturally more than the average American. I think me and Gus were talking about, you know, in the past how I don't think a normal American has the capacity for what it entails to love an immigrant, and, you know, everything, all these processes, all these laws, all these, it's a lot. But it's for love. O que você acha de hoje?
Eu? Eu tô feliz.
Sim, gente é feliz.
É estranho falar isso, né? Como você tá feliz, você vai voltar pro Brasil e vai ficar longe do seu marido por um tempo.
É mais fácil.
É muito estranho falar isso, mas eu tô feliz por conta que até mesmo o juiz falou que essa seria a melhor opção para a situação que eu e o Chris a gente se encontra agora, né?
Sim.
Então, eu acredito que eu acredito que vai ser difícil por um tempo, mas a gente vai superar, a gente vai conseguir ter uma vida bem melhor.
É isso. Isso é que a gente quer e vou continuar querendo. É boa vida, né?
Sim. Então tá tudo bem.
Sim. Mas o que vai acontecer agora he has 4 months here. We gotta prove that he's able to buy his ticket, prove that we're able to afford it, basically just prepare and save as much money as we can during this time. But other than that, we'll keep you guys updated throughout the process.